assets, and then maybe kind of moving forward, let's talk with a couple of folks who are really plugged into St. Louis. Let me introduce first Emma Clues with the Shaw Neighborhood Association, and Jamie Pisek with Rally STL. We've talked to Rally before. Catch us up to speed on Rally. There's a little bit of difference, a different approach Rally STL has to promoting the city and the region we have here. Give us a thumbnail update.
Yeah, absolutely. So Rally is basically a grassroots organization that wants to empower St. Louis's most vital asset, which is St. Louisans. It all started whenever the founder, Aaron Perlett, posted on Forbes an article called "St. Louis Doesn't Suck" back in 2011.
Yeah, people loved that.
Exactly.
That was yeah. What year was that again?
It was December of 2011.
Okay. So, yeah. So we really rallied how we're not that bad. That was
Absolutely.
kind of the theme.
Right. And he was so impressed by the outpouring of support to that article that he was inspired to create Rally St. Louis, and which at its core is a crowdsourcing and crowdfunding platform for people in St. Louis to go on, post whatever idea they have of how we can improve the future of St. Louis and give it actually a possibility to happen.
Okay, so we'll get back to that in just a second, and then I want to talk, the Shaw neighborhood has been right in the middle of a lot of what we were just talking about when a young man was shot and killed in an altercation with police and in your neighborhood. And so I guess maybe the question I have for both of you is give me kind of the pulse, give me the mood of St. Louis, having been on the front lines of promoting it, but also living right in the middle of a lot of the unrest.
From the Shaw perspective, I think we're sort of in a place of rolling our sleeves up and digging in to sort of do some of that hard work. Earlier, Todd said that it's really messy, and I think that's fair. We've been doing things like community conversations, open dialogues every other Saturday, where folks can come and really have these hard conversations and start to understand where they're coming from, the diversity of our neighborhood. We've had police representatives at some of those meetings as well. So I think that certainly there was a loss of life, and that's tragic, but I think we've really been trying to ask those hard questions and lean into that mess a little bit. Yeah,
and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I mean, sometimes when we have these messy, hard conversations, cops can take they can kind of, I don't know what the right metaphor is, but nevertheless, it sounds like everyone's against them, but obviously there are a lot of police officers, I'm sure you've experienced in the neighborhood, who are part of the community as well and want to be there for the community as well.
Right, and I think one way that the Shaw neighborhood really responded to that was in the sense that, immediately after the death of Von Myers, we had a whole calendar, one of those care calendars set up where people were bringing meals for all of the family members, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, for weeks. And they got so full of food, ended up turning neighbors away. So then those neighbors started just packaging up supplies and food, taking them to the local police stations who are also working overtime. When they had enough as well, they were taking them out to protesters. I think that what really amazed and impressed me about my neighbors were that people weren't interested in trying to take sides and figure out who was right or wrong, but really sort of come together as a community and start to try to figure it out about what we could do next.
So people are still committed to St. Louis? Do you see some of the same faces involved? Or are people kind of like, you know what? I'm packing up and leaving.
No, absolutely. And we actually started an initiative called Our STL after the events in Ferguson and in Shaw. And what we're doing with that is basically similar to what the goal of Rally STL is to give people a voice and show what good things are being done and the good things people want to do to help make St. Louis a more united, supportive, and exciting place to live. Because the national eye was on us for a long time and still continues to be.
I was going to say, still is, yeah.
And it was really surprising and amazing to us to see how many amazing things were happening on social media, all the good stuff that was happening, people volunteering their time, as Emma mentioned, and working so hard to try to show that St. Louis is this great place, and we are working hard to improve it. So we created Our STL to show what people are doing. It's a website that is basically an aggregate of the hashtag Our STL, and we want to give a voice to those people who are doing great things and continue to reinforce them to do more, and also show people and examples of how they can get involved, which is a hard part sometimes. You're not really sure how you can, but you know you want to.
I'm curious if have you seen actually more people rolling up their sleeves, as you said? Even with Rally, are the clicks still coming through? Are people still engaged, or is it dropped off, or has it gone up?
I think people have sort of reinforced their pride in the city as well. I mean, we had a swell of conversation happening when Rally started, and then you get tired down with your day-to-day life, and you're not always like coming up with ideas on your own. But once the negative attention on St. Louis started happening, people started getting up in arms like, that is not us. We are way more than this. Yes, we have our problems and our issues, and we need to work to fix those, but St. Louis isn't all bad crime stats and et cetera. We are working hard to improve who we are.
Let's just take a quick look. We have talk about a couple of the things Rally has pulled off here. So Cotton Belt, people, I don't know if anybody would have on a large scale known what the Cotton Belt building was if they weren't friends with Michael Allen on Facebook, who we love, by the way. He's with Preservation Research Office. But tell us about, we're seeing it right now on the screen. What is the Cotton Belt? How did you make it what it is today?
Absolutely. So Tom Nagel submitted an idea to Rally St. Louis just like anyone else could, that he wanted to take this rundown building that's on the riverfront that people see when they come in from Illinois and turn it into a beautiful work of art. So he submitted the idea, it got a ton of support on the website and went into funding, which he was very successful at. And we started painting in September using local artist Anita Turnage. And the whole goal of it basically is to show people who are coming to St. Louis possibly for the first time traveling through the country that we have a very vibrant arts community, and it's not just this rundown building that you're seeing on the riverfront. And also to encourage people to go out to the riverfront and explore their city more and see what it has to offer.
Yeah, but we were talking about where the cakes might have taken people. We're definitely disconnected, and obviously we have the Arts Grounds renovation, they're working on that, but we were definitely disconnected from the river, I think we would all agree. One more we have, we want to show branded crosswalks. Remind us what you guys were doing there.
Yeah, so branded crosswalks is an idea that's currently in funding. It's an idea submitted just to create more activity in life in neighborhoods around St. Louis and to enforce civic pride at the same time. So by creating more painted crosswalks like this that show the identity of St. Louis with the fleur-de-lis, we can encourage people to get out, encourage pedestrian life, and visit more parks and businesses and be more engaged in their community. So that is an idea that's currently in funding on the website, and if it is completely funded, then it will be actualized shortly.
So we're sprucing up. That's important, and not just for looks, but as you said, to highlight the arts community, connect to the river. But now, do you get the sense that now what we're talking about almost has like a moral calling behind it as well? Is there a larger purpose of what we've taken on here?
I think so, and from a neighborhood perspective, I think a lot of people are doing a lot of work on themselves on an individual level also. I know we've been using, the Shaw neighborhood uses the nextdoor.com platform, which is a social network for neighbors, sort of a secure, a little more private. And there are lots of really hard conversations going on there, as well as in those in-person meetings about, you know, learning about terms like white privilege or what does that mean, and reading articles about some of the things that other folks are going through, maybe that are their neighbors that they really had no idea before.
Right back to the cake analogy. You might discovering a new part of town, getting outside of your geographic bubble, and perhaps even your own personal one as well.
Absolutely.
Do you see that?
Absolutely. And also, I wanted to bring up today that we had some pretty exciting news that the first idea that was fully funded on Rally's website, the food roof, working with Urban Harvest STL, they just signed a lease today, so they will be starting construction in March to create St. Louis's first downtown food farm and roof, and start working on that. So it's very exciting.
Very cool. All right, ladies, thank you so much. Don't move. We're going to bring everyone back to the table, and we're going to bring more of what folks are saying with hashtag Stay Tuned STL.